All right, how's everyone doing? I am Rich Celenza. Thanks for tuning in to the Rich Celenza Show. So what I want to get into today is I want people to know that I want my brand to embody trust. And, anything I'm putting out content-wise, I want it to be as truthful as possible coming from my perspective. That does not mean by any means I am always right. Actually, far from it. But I do want to talk about things that I've gone through and kind of explain my perspective. And I also don't have any problems with anybody disputing, what I'm saying or what I'm showcasing, I guess, to a certain degree, because I am somebody, I almost call myself a flip-flopper. I like testing many different types of things, which I think sometimes confuses people, especially when you start, like, say, a YouTube channel or a program, a podcast, or whatever the case may be. Even if you see me on social media, I don't care if it's Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Instagram, I'm always looking at myself as evolving. And I think a lot of times when it comes to a brand, you're supposed to build something and kind of stick with it. And I understand that to a certain degree. And then when you kind of flip-flop a little bit, it's like you're losing, I can't say trusting yourself, but you don't think it's working. So that's why you're changing or pivoting. And I don't feel that way at all. So I definitely wanted to do a podcast on this subject because I want people to know just because I'm constantly changing, I'm actually being as honest as I can, because I believe everything is always changing and evolving, and I am not a person that can get locked into anything. It's just not who I am. Even in the last 20 years, if you follow anything that I do, I'll literally go from making films to writing books to, building a app, and then also creating a program. And then I'm, working on a YouTube and podcast. And in between that, I can be doing many other things. I could be working on another book, or I could be doing, thinking about creating something else, another show for YouTube. And that's when I say I want to build that trust with people, and I want to build a trust within myself. And again, I am not perfect by any means. But if you're somebody who likes change, I guess, to a certain degree. Now, that does not mean also, when I say change, that doesn't mean I'm always changing my identity or changing my beliefs all the time. But I do think when it comes to me showcasing who I am, I literally will go from somebody for, say, a year who was always dressed up. I may be in a three-piece suit because that's how I feel like dressing. That may also kind of be the lifestyle I'm living at that point in time. And then, like, take the last year, for instance, during COVID or Corona, I'm usually always seen in fitness, type of clothing and doing a lot of things working out because I haven't been able to travel or work in that sense. And I think if you've watched just the last 2 years of my YouTube videos, for instance, you'll see the first year was a lot of traveling because that's what I was doing. I incorporated my favorite restaurants, coffee houses, gyms, smoothie spots, many different places I would go throughout North America to kind of showcase what I was doing and build a trust with people when I was speaking to say, this is what I like to do. I'm not a tour guide. I'm not going to places just because I'm going to them to show them off. I go to these places because that's where I go and that's where I like to be. And then again, in the next year, it seems like in my YouTube phase channel, it became more fitness driven. And the reason is I'm, again, trying to be as truthful and build a trust with people to say, this is who I am. I'm not going to stay in a realm of walking around in a three-piece suit and still talking about businesses, or maybe walking around Florida and saying, this is what I'm doing or that. It's just not what I was feeling. And I think a lot of people may go through this as well, where I talk about this in my Mastering Self-Confidence program, where you get wrapped up sometimes with a brand or an identity that, after a certain amount of time, or a person just in general, after a certain amount of time, you don't want to be that person anymore, but you're afraid because people identify you this way. And I am just not that type of person. And the one thing I talk about in my life that I love more than anything about myself, if there's anything, which is, believe me, I destroyed myself for long periods of time, emotionally, everything. But I kind of always loved having the freedom to be who I was whenever I was doing anything. I think if people would talk about me, a lot of people would say, oh, he's crazy or he's nuts. Oh, my God, what's he going to, maybe no filter type thing. Is that good or bad? I would say there's strengths to it and weaknesses, because sometimes people want to stay away from someone like that. And I get it, because you never know. Maybe if you thought I'd fly off the handle and tell you to go fuck yourself, or I would, a lot of times too, I'd be very friendly and I love everyone to a certain degree, unless I start getting aggravated. And then I have really, to a certain point, no fear of what I'm going to say. That could go for even somebody I work with. It could be a boss. It could be, I call it going black, where I just get aggravated. And I don't care. Half the problem in my life, and I don't know if it's a problem or not, I don't fear most consequences. And I don't know if that's good or bad. That's just who I am. And when I was making YouTube videos or my podcast, I said, I have to be as truthful as possible to who I am. I have to. I cannot portray myself in any other way, or I'm going to get crazy, because I can't. That's the one thing I hated about acting. Even when I was making films, I liked creating my own films. But then I've had other people hit me up to be in their films, believe it or not, especially after they saw my first couple films. They're like, Rich, would you mind playing this role for me? Would you mind coming and doing this or that, or getting involved? And it was really hard. And I said, maybe I'll do something small for you. But here's the thing. I realize not an actor. And okay, I can probably act in my own films because, I wrote them. But for me to portray myself to be something I'm not would be really hard. I could probably do it, right? And I even tested myself in my own films. I was kind of a doctor. I tried to see how I would look or perform that, and it wasn't actually that bad. And then I went and tried, to play a madman, somebody who had a mental illness. And then the next one was kind of, like a Tony Soprano character, Tony Soprano, which fit me pretty well. But back to the brand situation. I'm currently now going to start looking for some additional sponsors and advertisers. And I'm not here to pitch this on my podcast. The reality is I'll find one or two. I really want to minimize it and, find people that I truly believe in, and vice versa. I just don't want to get tons of people that I don't give a fuck about and they don't give a fuck about me, truthfully. I want to kind of get behind somebody. And again, that doesn't necessarily have to mean, even though I kind of know most of who my audience is male. It's like 76%. And most of them are like 18 to 35, which kind of blows me away, which I kind of like, actually. I always said I goof around. I love the young or the youth. I get along way better with them than anyone else. And I just know that a lot of my YouTube and my podcast is based around, obviously, now fitness to a certain degree. And it's also about building up confidence. And I want people to start living an extraordinary life, regardless what type of budget they're working with. And if you're extremely poor, that's one thing. But if you make a decent amount of money, and I think I can help people that live on minimum wage, truthfully, live a better life than maybe they've lived. They just haven't been taught. And I'm not going to sit here and pretend I'm some guru on how to live affordably or set budgets, because I haven't done that. But I think I've lived through my life, and I've had major ups and downs. I've lived a pretty extraordinary life. And I did it by kind of, I guess you could say, thinking outside the box, but not accepting anything that less than what I wanted. At times, sure, I maybe wanted a lot more. But at other times, I appreciated that I had a lot less. And that goes for possessions and responsibilities. Because I don't think a lot of people really realize, as much as they want a lot of things, they don't realize all the stress and pressure that they're going to have to deal with when having a lot more. It's kind of a joke, more money, more problems. There's a lot of truth behind that. But that doesn't mean we don't want money, or I don't. I still like money. Let's not get ridiculous. But I also understand what it takes to really help, running a company. I've also been a nobody, like I can't say a nobody, but somebody who's kind of off the radar working for somebody as well. And I love being a boss, but I also love not being bothered and just being an employee. So I understand kind of the extremes of it. And I know, back to me building my brand, I just want people to understand that I also love communicating with people. And if you leave a message and I see it, I always respond, agree or disagree, whatever the case may be. That goes for YouTube, my podcast, Facebook, again, all my social media platforms. I want them to always know that they can reach out to me, that I'm not some jagoff. I don't know in the future what I'll be, but I'm not this guy who's going to say, hey, I have an assistant or I have an intern or I have people that work for me and you're going to hit me up on Facebook and then I'm going to be like, an assistant's going to hit you up and go, Rich will get back to you. Or Rich said, get the fuck out. I can't stand that shit. That may happen if in a different situation, maybe an email or something that didn't get to me, but I could assure you if it gets to me and I see it, I'm not fluffing anybody off. And that's another thing I definitely want people to understand with trust because I can't stand that fake bullshit. I can't stand people telling me they're too busy to talk to other people when they have the opportunities, and that goes for texting or emailing. I'm definitely not a guy you're going to probably reach on the phone or communicate with unless I know you very, very well. I'm not going to lie about that because I really only talk to my parents, my kids, my girlfriend, and very close friends. I'm not a phone guy anymore, really. I'm horrible with that. But I can assure you I will communicate definitely through, other platforms 100%, and that's going to be me. So just so we know, you'll usually know too it's me just by my dial, the way I talk. It's pretty, I can't say it's unique, but I'm kind of somebody who you'll just know right off the bat that you're dealing with me. So anyways, I am going to wrap it up there, but I just want to do a podcast and let everybody know that I am getting ready to get some advertisers and sponsors. I already have one that I'm very close with. If you've ever seen Strong Arm Sports, he's a good friend of mine for almost 20 years. Love that guy. And he's just a great guy. I mean, I'm just behind him regardless. And again, if I have problems dealing with advertisers and commercials and ads on the radio and TV, so it's really one of the reasons I love this platform, YouTube, and my podcast is I didn't have to deal with anybody. But if I keep wanting to succeed and get to the next level, which I kind of do, I'm going to have to start generating income instead of constantly spending it. It's just a reality. Unless someone comes along and says, Rich, do whatever the hell you want and pay me, which if I become successful enough, I love to do something where I don't really necessarily have to have, advertisers or sponsors. But the truth is, I do love a lot of damn things, and I have no problem incorporating them into my podcast or my YouTube. I don't care if it's McDonald's. McDonald's doesn't have to pay me. If I like McDonald's, I'm going to eat McDonald's. If I like Portillo's, if you watch my YouTube videos, I'm at Portillo's. LA Fitness, I like their gym. I'm going to do videos regardless. A lot of people, I think that I'm getting paid by a lot of restaurants or I'm getting free perks and all this. I truthfully never wanted anything from anybody, even my closest friends and family members that own restaurants, say, for instance, or other establishments. I kind of talk about them because they trust me and I trust them that I love their product. So that's something to wrap it up with. So don't get confused sometimes too. But anyways, that's where I'm at right now regarding this. So, but I definitely want to embody trust with my base out there. And I'm going to wrap it up there. If you get a chance, definitely check out my YouTube channel, Rich Celenza. Again, I have my Mastering Self-Confidence program. That's really to help men find the woman or women of their dreams, even if they've been through a bad breakup or divorce. But I get into tons of things on that program, man. Tons of things, fitness, fashion, hygiene, many things, how to shop and save tons of money, how to do many different things affordably, I guess you could say. And I'm also on, what am I on? Twitter, LinkedIn, Facebook, and Instagram? Did I screw that up? Who gives a shit? So I'm going to wrap it up there. Take care, and I wish you nothing but the best.